Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Divine Panther Presents. Today, we shall be discussing The Last of Us with season 1. There will be another one, and episode 3. What happened? What we thought about it? We're going to talk about that. Maybe some rewrite ideas. I'll think about it. Do I do it this one? Do I do a separate video? I will think about it. But let's talk about with it to Chris. Chris, what did you think of this week's episode?
This was the episode I was looking forward to the most because of Bill, because of the character of Bill. And last in the game, Bill, as well as I would say probably Sam and Henry, who we have not been introduced to yet. I can almost guarantee you we will get a very similar episode in the sense of like it will just be like those two. Don't necessarily know if they'll do the whole Joel and Ellie thing, but Bill was like one of my favorite characters, and so I was always looking forward to it, especially when I saw that Nick Offerman was playing him. So really looking forward to it. I was shocked in the sense that it went the direction that it did, because for the most part, it has been kind of keeping true to through the game, even though it kind of deviated here and there, right? However, I guess I was more shocked of how I was all right with it and how well I was to it. And maybe actually kind of was thinking, damn, this is kind of better than the version we got in the game. Like, that being said, there's certain aspects of the game that I wish that was in there, but the fact that one of the biggest things is that we never saw Bill and Ellie meet. And the reason why I missed that is that in the game, it creates the most hilarious like banters ever. Like, it's like, hey, that little shit just took my gun. It's like, hey, hey, you stinking like shit. Like, they just go back and forth as they're like killing like infected left and right. So their little funny banter is the biggest thing that I was like, damn it. Like, I won't get the Ellie and Bill thing, even though, they don't last very long with them or whatever. But this one, you never see Frank in the game. Well, you do, you see his corpse, but he hangs himself. And how their relationship ends in the game was just more of like, it was very bitter. Like, Frank runs off unprotected from Bill because he was just pissed at him. Next thing you know, he gets bit by a couple infected folks, and he didn't want to go out like that. So he hung himself, and then he writes this bitter letter right before he dies to Bill. And he's like, Bill's reading, it's like, well, fuck you then. And it's highly implied through both the letters and the way he keeps talking about Frank, plus the dirty magazine that we find in the back of Bill's truck, that he was like him and Frank, like, not only was Bill gay, but he was like him and Frank, that was like, they were more than just partners. You know what I mean? So this episode, I was shocked how much I appreciated this episode. Didn't think I was going to be much of a Linda Ronstadt fan until this episode, and how they utilize her song with both the title music and them playing in the piano and then the cassette tape at the end. But man, I was grateful for that. 3 biggest lines in the entire episode, Frank saying like, hey, you think that 9/11 is a conspiracy, is an inside job, and the government's full of a bunch of Nazis. And the reply is, they are a bunch of Nazis. That was big, as well as a big moment where I was like, all of a sudden my eyes kind of got a little watery when Bill sitting with Frank at the garden, and he's like, I wasn't afraid until you came in my life. And I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, I'm trying to think of manly things after you said that. I was like, football, sports. Think of something manly, because God damn it, they're trying to go for the field. You son of a bitch. Why'd you have to deliver a line like that? You son of a bitch. Like, so it got me. Mission accomplished. God damn it. You know what I mean? But I would say the most important line though was at the very end, when all these lines, by the way, is from Bill, and that's when, and the third line is, to Joe through the letter, though. It was like, that's why men like you and me are here. We have a job to do. And God help any motherfuckers who stand in our way. And anyone who played the game knows exactly what that means and what's coming, right? That I thought was important. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, they're doing some foreshadowing. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, from that moment, obviously it's clear, even though he meant it for Tess, it was clear that Joe knew what he needed to do for Ellie. But that little angrily line about like God help the motherfucker. There's I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if that'll be first season, second season, but I'm also really shocked and impressed that for you see shows do this all the time when it comes to side characters and side stories. But how often do you ever see a side character or side story that actually still integrates with the overall plot? One of my biggest concerns about them doing Last of Us is that, well, if we kind of continue with what they're going to do, it would only be 5 episodes, right? They need to kind of stretch it out again a little bit. And especially if they already said they're going to do season 2, that was my biggest thing. I was like, oh shit, they're going to go right to Last of Us 2? They need to kind of break it up a little bit. This is how you break it up, where it's like it focus on other characters, right? Side characters or whatnot, but it's still somehow integrates to the main story. And with especially with that letter at the end, it was necessary. I basically enjoy it. I'll go into other details later on about certain things I like, certain things that did not necessarily like. Ellie got a gun now. You know what I mean? I thought it was ironic that she got Frank's gun, the guy who's not seen as a fighter. You know what I mean? Ellie's got it. So obviously that's going to be coming soon. And we all already now we know what that radio, what that 80s radio song was about at the very end of the first episode. They didn't, both Frank and Bill, they didn't get a chance to change the radio because they passed on. So at the end of the episode, basically they died. That was, so I was like, oh, okay, that's why it was still playing. That's why I was still playing, because they said every week. They says if they don't replace it every week or whatever, after a week of them not utilizing transmission, it goes to his playlist, his 80s playlist. And then so I was like, that's what the end of the episode was about. So I guess we could say, I don't know how long him, Tess, and Ellie like left at that point, to the point that obviously Tess was bitten, to now Joel and Ellie got to the house. So I don't know. I'm guessing a few weeks has passed since they both kind of, rode off to the sunset, essentially. So I'm guessing a few, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. I'll just say two weeks. But yeah, very, very good episode. I just know a lot of, you're gonna have a lot of people critiquing it for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. But that's what trolls do. But overall, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed how different it was, because I always felt like I know how these episodes end, and this one, it was completely different. Bill was gone, and that was not in the game. And I was thinking like, okay, I'm still fine with it, because it's not like Bill in the game. He just, not like he comes back. Like he survives or whatever, but it's not like you see him again or whatever. You know what I mean? So this one, it just went a different direction, and I was happy with it. This was actually more of a happy episode, even though people died in it. How ironic. So yeah. So I'm good. I'm good now. So yeah, I feel like I've been taking up a lot of people's time. So go
ahead. Kim, what did you think of the episode?
I just love what Chris said. Like everything Chris said is like that was the episode. I love this episode. I cried a lot this episode, because it was just like when Bill was in the beginning, when you see how he's like just a guy who's paranoid, and he kind of is just all by himself, and he loves being by himself, and he loves watching the world from cameras, right? And he thinks this is the life, right? I'm living my life. This is wonderful. But then when Frank comes into his life, you just see him completely open up. Like this person opened his entire heart, and it was magnificent. The love affair was wonderfully done. Like they didn't show sex. They didn't need to show sex. You knew these two men were deeply in love with each other, and I thought it was so well done. It really was. The banter between them, the argument between them, which was just a typical thing I guess you would argue about, right? Like we need to make this, even though Bill knows that no one should be coming to their compound. Frank is like, but this is our home. We should make it beautiful. And that's what I would say the woman of the situation would be thinking, right? Like, if just in case people do come, we need to make it pretty, right? And I thought that was really sweet. I love their love affair. It was so, and even the way that they went out, how they brought it full circle, like the first date, they had the rabbit and he turned the plate, because it was like a chef. Like, how you plate the food and the food looks like art. And he turned the plate, just so that you can see everything on the plate and how it looks. And then with the wine bottle, it's the same bottle from when they first had the date and when they were about to, pass away, same bottle of wine. And then he made sure he showed the label, which is what you're supposed to do. My son taught me this stuff because he's a chef. But anyway, I thought it was just beautiful. I was like, oh my God. And then it really got me, because when he said this was going to be, when Frank said, this is my last day. And Bill was like, in that moment, Bill was like, I can't live without him. Like, you saw it on his face. It was like, it's going to be my last day too. And to find that kind of love, as old as Bill was when he found Frank and when Frank found him, they spent a lot of years together, like really good years. And you saw how Frank, if you look around the house, the beautiful pictures Frank painted, and the way that he livened up the place and made it their home instead of just his Bill's mom's home. It was beautiful. I just loved it. I thought it was so, in all the depression and stuff that's going on and all the death, this story was needed. Like, you had to have somebody who was happy, at least for a moment in time. So I loved it. I'm really enjoying this series, but I can't cry anymore because I literally couldn't stop crying. I was like, oh my God.
Kim, I think you're going to cry again, and I think you're going to cry even more in a future episode. I know it because I played the game, and there's something. Yeah, you're just going to. If they go with the game, you're going to cry even worse.
Oh wow.
I think so.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah. I recommend this to anybody.
This show is This Is Us, basically with creatures or infected.
This is Last of Us.
I liked it. I liked it. The emotional roller coaster is
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it really is more about the people, like, and
yeah, it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're doing a good job of focusing on that the infected just happens to be the background. Like, it's really really more about
it's the relationships that I love that they're trying to show, that with all this going on around them, they still are able to be human. You know what I mean? Like, you could turn into something, that's less human, right? Just paranoid and just, go crazy, but they choose to keep their mind sane. And for Bill, Frank was keeping him sane. That's where, and I thought that was beautiful. And with Joel and Ellie, I think Ellie is keeping Joel sane. You know what I mean? Because he could just curl up into a ball after all the things that have happened to him. He could just curl up into a ball and die. Like, he really could. Because what is he living for?
Tommy, he still got time. He still got a brother.
Well, he does, but I don't even. I feel like that something negative is happening with the brother. I don't want it to be.
Remember, he got turned. Remember, we saw in the first episode say, "Hey, you turned my brother against me." So it's like they're kind of doing this right now. They're butting heads.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, yeah, they still.
Well, that's because he joined the Fireflies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait to see the Tommy. I want to see that relationship, because that's another relationship that Joel has. And then he has the one with Ellie. I love Ellie. I love her snarkiness. I love that she's brave. I love that she does show when she's like a little bit afraid, but she's still tough. And I like that about her. And I like when she kept asking for a gun. Even though it's annoying, it's what a kid would do. A kid's going to continue to ask you over and over, can I have some candy? Can I have some candy? Can I have some candy? but can I have cookies? You said, and it's like, shut up, and you give it to him, right? And I feel like, you know, well, she took the gun. She took it. Right? She took it. Because I mean, come on now, she's a tough girl. She's like, I can do this. I can handle this gun. I can do it. So, but anyway, yeah, let somebody else talk. I love it. I love the show.
All right, thank you, Jamani. What are your thoughts, please, sir?
Unintended, pun not intended. I don't know how you want to put it. I'm like Men on Film. I hated it.
Why?
So many reasons. All right, so this episode is like it's not necessarily about the relationship or the fact that it's same sex or what have you. It's these specific characters in this episode. Like, it's just wrong. Like there was other story that could have been, the actual game story should have been what was told. It is like, I look at it like the movie Ghost. It's like if you watch the movie Ghost and, you know, was it Willie Harris dies or whatever, and you have like the president from Scandal. He ends up with Molly at the end, and Sam gives him his blessing and he just goes off to heaven. It's like, no, what happens to the end scene of the movie with him chasing them and stuff? It's like,
wasn't that different? No, it's the same result happened at the end of the game happened here. The end result was the same.
No,
How
one
got
was
their change.
No, one left the other and one was still alive.
Yes.
So it has like a totally different dynamic, and it affects how the main characters progress going forward as well. So, because I was like from like the first episode, first episode, when they were like, we're not going to get guns, we're going to get a car battery. And I was like, this doesn't make a lot of sense because you're just going to end up stumbling across one very shortly. So, all right, I'll ride this out, see how this goes, right? And then they're dead. So it's not like we go on the whole mission of let's find a car and a car battery like you do in the game. And no, I'm just going to make one and then have time to spare to go and take a shower and all of it. Like, I was like, is that easy? You could have just gotten scrap parts outside of the QZ or at some sort of scavenger way to make a battery, or you could have. I'm like, it just didn't seem plausible that it just could be done that easily. And this is the whole reason why he was doing this. I'm like, he could basically ditch her at this point. It really, like, it makes this letter have some sort of stronger impact than what I think it really does. I'm like, I don't think that the letter was enough to make him say, all right, now I'm going to continue this mission that could put both of our lives at risk, because at the end of the day, I have the battery that I ultimately wanted. And then at the end, in the game, she's actually driving the vehicle because they're pushing it to get the battery to start. She says, I don't know what a seatbelt is. I've never been in a car. I was just like, yeah, this is like really far from the way the game was. The thing that really stuck out for me that makes me say that it was a bad episode was that we're going to get basically this same thing over again in a few weeks. Because when you go to the Left Behind, it's going to basically be more or less the same storyline repeated again. I know how they like to bookend everything with these episodes, where the beginning predicts or foreshadows the end. I don't necessarily know, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but when they showed the bodies out in the field, and he was saying that they slaughtered them so that they don't become infected, I was thinking that they poisoned them like a la Jonestown, and then that's kind of what you see at the end when they like poison the wine so that they
No, they shot them. It was to me. It was implied that they shot them, like who they could not put into the quarantine zone. They just took them out to the field and shot them. And
I know it was like it seemed implied, but like they never said that they were shot. So I was like, it was kind of like straddling the fence of ambiguous. So like I don't know.
Well, ultimately they ended up dead, so I guess it really didn't fucking matter. Like the whole point was that you were supposed to see like the dead baby and the mom, and then they showed you the mom and the baby, and then be like, okay, well, you know how their story ends. Let's show you this Bill guy who's been sitting in the fucking basement, and then that's how they tried to tie the story together to be like, this is how we're going to begin the backstory of Bill. But I think with the whole soldiers and the guns, again, it's just supposed to be implied that they got shot. I mean, but
to Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, is this not more or less the story that we should be expecting, just with younger people and they're being female in the Left Behind? Like the whole we're gonna wait to die together type of situation.
Oh, you mean the one with Riley and Ellie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, this seems like this is gonna be very
whatever
close.
episode 8. They already said episode 8 that's the Riley, that's the Ellie and Riley scene. So I'm pretty sure because they showed Riley in the trailer. When I saw in the trailer, like, oh, this is all flashback then or something. So yeah. So I think that's episode 8. So I don't know if Left Behind is that, but there was an episode that says Ken. So I saw Ken. I was like, oh, that must be Tommy, or it's probably Sam and Henry. So I don't know. I don't know if you could kind of take, because like to your point, this episode that we just watched was a long time, but that's just the name of Linda's song. You see what I'm saying? But it was also the name of the song, but it was also saying like they've been together for a long time too. So I don't know. You can't necessarily just look at the words Left Behind.
No, I'm not saying Left Behind. I'm saying in the sense that you're gonna see them in the same sort of way how we're seeing them, like how they're in the mall. You're gonna see them in that long journey, just the two of them, right? For like
doing like kids
the majority of the episode.
But don't say too much because they don't don't say too much because
but I'm saying the storyline is gonna be very repetitory if they go according to the game, if they do it for the Left Behind
it's because but for me what this show is about is relationships within a pandemic. So if it is going to show, that's what it's supposed to show. So we had the relationship between Joel and his daughter, right? And then we have the relationship between Joel and his brother Tommy, and then we have the relationship between Joel and Tess. Right. Yeah. Then now we're seeing the relationship between Frank and Bill, and then now we're going to see the relationship still between Joel and Ellie, right? And we're going to see that one progress. But then also, yes, they're going to throw in a relationship between Ellie and Riley so that we can see where she came from, basically, and what she saw, what happened to her in that moment of time when she was with Riley. And it is a love story. We know that they're lesbians and stuff. So, but I think that when you're young, like Ellie and Riley are, it's going to be a different. They're going to be in love. I'm not saying they're not, but it's not going to be the story that we're seeing with Bill and Frank. The only thing that makes them the same is that it's a lesbian and a homosexual couple. But I don't think that the story is going to.
No, I'm saying
there's another plot to it that's kind of similar to Bill and Frank. I know what Jamani's talking about, and without giving spoilers, I know we said there's something else to it. Yes, you're right about the whole lesbian and gay thing, but there's another component to it that even watching this episode, I was like, oh, that's similar to the thing. I don't know, unless they change it with the Riley story, they might change it, Jamani. I don't know.
I don't know how they could change. How they could necessarily
is it gonna mess
change
up
that specific point, because that's like the that specific thing that I'm tying in with this episode is like the fabric of the whole show or the whole game, or like however you want to label this IP. It's like the fabric of that why she feels survivor's remorse, so to say, afterwards.
Right, because Riley becomes infected. I get that. So basically, I like what Armando was saying. He says,
some of our viewers have not seen it.
Oh, my bad. Well, no, I haven't seen it either. I haven't seen it either. That's just common sense. That's just common sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is. You can figure that out by watching the Flash, right? I figured that out.
It's like a zombie show. Like at some point,
I mean, you know that's what's wrong with her.
That's like, I mean, so.
But with Frank and Bill, there was no infection. He didn't get infected. He did get something like ALS.
He had an infection, just a different infection.
Right, affliction. Right, exactly.
Is that Parkinson's? I feel like it's Parkinson's.
Or MS.
They said that they were making it ambiguous, just some sort of muscular thing.
Yes.
But when you say muscular,
immune disease.
When you say muscular, it mimics the same like the way that the what is the name of the sitter, the
don't even go there, child. Just go ahead. Whatever
affects your muscles so that it controls it for you. So it.
Oh, that's right. MS.
It could be MS. It could be Parkinson's. It could be so many of them.
They
ALS. Yeah. But I agree with Armando. He said it's the struggle between staying human. You can lose your humanity by being infected or isolation, which was what Bill was in. He was in isolation in the beginning. And I like the way that they brought his character full circle. I thought that was well done, right? You go from this man who's hiding, he's underneath a basement. Like, who goes underneath a basement, right? You know, basement is usually the bottom, right? He's under that. Right. No, but I'm saying, but he's under that. But this Frank was able to bring this man completely out into the public, out and thriving and loving and caring. And I thought this was great character development. I thought it was
out.
Okay, but can we ask the question?
Chris.
No, I think there was a symbol. There was a
symbolism in that.
No, there was a bunch of symbolisms, which I didn't even get to yet. But I'm gonna let Jamani do his thing first.
Oh, I want to ask the question: is it that HBO didn't want to do a whole bunch of suicide warnings? Because if they did it like the game, it would be there would be a whole lot of people sacrificing their lives basically in every other episode. Is this a matter of let's take one of those out, being to the fact we don't actually ever meet Frank the character and make this a happy ending and then go along with all the rest of the suicides or life sacrifices in the narrative down the road?
Well, I mean, Frank already kind of commits suicide in the game too, so it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, did they change it so that in the show
they don't have that? It was more romanticized this way, like as opposed to how he did it in the game?
I'm like, yeah, I'm saying like he, instead of having somebody hanging from a light fixture, you never actually see them die. They drink the wine, and then you never is. Everything else is just a letter after that. It's kind of in your mind. You're not seeing or interacting with any of it.
Their medicine that could be the point. They want
or MS.
Like so so they wanted to kind of like romanticize the situation that both of them went together, and therefore they don't want to show you. Just know, like in your mind, that they're together on the other side, like of the door. I mean, for example, type of thing. Tonight's episode will probably be Ellie's backstory.
I don't think so. Not looking at the trailer.
No, it looks like they're actually gonna start the story because now you got Ellie and Joel like out there like on the.
Nah, this looked very familiar with the game too, and I know what direction they're going with. So So no. I mean, no. Just action. If it's going anything in the game, there's a lot of, to your point, because I saw your face, David. There'll be a lot of action to it. But it's all, but there'll be a lot of action to it.
I know. I mean, I need the story to move forward. Like you told me several times, this is really about Joel, like getting Ellie where she needs to be. So I need to see that happen.
Yeah, no, but it's about their relationship. It's not. But what I'm saying is, in order to do that in 9 episodes, you have to have them interacting with folks.
Well,
Just like the game. The game was literally 80% of it was them interacting with folks
well,
inside.
no, I understand that. I'm saying,
but with those two, what I'm saying is the trailer shows those two, so you'll get those two. What I'm saying is those two in action sequences. That's one of
yes, man. But interacting like they didn't. So hold on. I want to give Armando because he did a lot of stuff. I'm mad. They left a lot of the cool guns. Ellie got like a 22.
I know, right?
I was waiting for Frank to kill Bill. I think letting him out of the hole needed to be a little bit more tense.
The piano thing, like I had people say like, the piano, only because I just kind of knew what was going to happen, whatever. I was thinking like, damn, I guess I would think like the moment he played the piano, be like, this is where you go.
Okay. Like play something sweet before I murder you. It's going. They going to need an alternate 5 foot from Bill's fence. An alternator. Oh, they're gonna need an alternator 5 feet from Bill's fence. I guess. Oh yeah. So like, how do they put the truck together? Is what we're going with. So to the point of interaction, I did love the episode. I cried several times. I wrote Kim after I watched it, and I was like, "You're gonna be crying." And I was like, "But you need to watch it." And then like it took her a while to watch it, so I was like, "Did she watch it?" She ignored me. Like I was like, "No, she didn't watch it yet." I was like, when she watched it though, she was like, "Yeah." It was a beautiful standalone, to me though, a standalone love story that happened to be in this series because, like I said, there was no interaction between Ellie, Joel, and them. So that was my major like problem with it. Like I wanted Joel and Ellie to be a part of the discussion and part of the journey to integrate it into the story, as opposed to something that's just happening as they're walking. And then because when in the end, for them to end up, with 2 dead people, supplies that they could pick up. I saw that in the Book of Eli and probably in The Walking Dead. But I remember in the Book of Eli when Denzel Washington walked in and there was a guy who hung himself. And he took the shoes, he took what was in the house, he got the supplies, and he kept it moving. From that kind of story standpoint, they could have just did that. I mean, they walked to the house, the supplies are there, Bill and Frank are dead, and then they move on to the rest of the show. I mean, they could have did that, but it was a good
questions though.
In
the past though, remember we did this before, where like you'll find that you always do the same thing. You always say like, I want to know how the hell did they just randomly have all that stuff? Like where would they get all those guns? Are they Doom Prepper? How do we know? You know damn well if that's how they came about, you could be like, who the hell was this guy? Okay. What, they have flour? What? You would stop Chris, it. Stop no, it. I've done enough reviews with you to know how you are.
I hear you in the context of apocalypse, like post-apocalypse, 20 plus years into this shit. Like, I would be like, of course, like I would be surprised they did have all that shit. But
I actually kind of agree with you with the whole interaction. That's why I was even saying I missed the whole banter with Elliot.
Yeah, like just
but I did have to call you out a little bit because
I hear you. So that was probably my major thing was that. And then so I could see the people who were like, what do we do with this episode? Because it was well done. I mean, I was like, and again, once again, I'm introduced to two great characters who are dead by the end of the episode. So that I'm like, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to start investing.
You're not even done with.
That's why I'm like, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to invest. I want to be invested, but it's like these anybody.
Just focus on the two characters. Just focus on Joe and
Ellie. We're only meant to
stop focusing on the side. You focus on side characters, you're gonna be so disappointed.
Yeah, we're only meant to focus from what when I listen to the podcast, we're really only meant to focus on Ellie and Joel. Like the side characters are side characters for a reason.
Yeah.
But the relationship that we want to focus on is Ellie and Joel.
No. So
right.
Yeah. The side characters too, and the stuff, all the bad stuff you see with the side characters is also to put you in that sense of like sadness of this is the world, right? I mean, obviously they can't do that with Joe and Ellie or whatever because they have a job to do, but they need you to feel exactly how they are feeling because they both dealt with a lot of loss. And the way they put it, they want the audience to feel that too. So obviously they can't do it with killing off Joe and Ellie, So they got to do with these other characters. Be like, oh yeah, this guy's cool. Oh, you like him? All right, just wait 50 minutes later. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Well,
it's
so
like
even,
that's I think that it's to kind of put you into the show.
but
If that
I would
makes
say
sense.
then I would say The Walking Dead did it better, because even with that, at some point you figured out it was Rick. I mean, it was Rick, it was Carl. Like, you knew like the Teflon characters are going to go the distance, but they brought in new characters, they developed them, they had them for a couple episodes, and they are dead as fuck, and then they moved on to the next.
No, there were like seasons though. That's the thing. Like, you would be introduced to someone like, was it Tyrese or whatever, and then he'd be there for two. Like, I hear you. I would say this is one of the few exceptions where it's like you would just introduce a character in one episode and they're gone in that same episode. At least with Ned Stark, we got a freaking season. Like, you know what I mean? We got a freaking season. We got like an episode and a half, barely a half of Tess. And then we got like one. See, but you know what? But I would say that is the genius of filmmaking, to make that audience have that type of feel, to be like invested in that character that they don't have to do within seasons, but they can get you to love them within literally 10 minutes. And then, you know what I mean? That is very genius to do. Like, I don't know, as a former like theater kid or whatnot, that I find that impressive. You know what I mean? Because it's very, very good.
I hear you. So I won't. So my thought again. So I won't keep you guys for very long. But anyway, when I was thinking about, I'm not gonna. So I was gonna
rewrite.
Huh?
I said rewrite.
Yeah, I know. I saw that pen in the sand.
I was like, damn it. I was like, so my own integration. All I'm asking for was integration. So like, I would have felt, as I guess in the game, Frank and Ellie, Joel and Ellie show up to meet these people, right?
Bill only, not Frank.
I'm saying for the show, since they're in the character, I'm saying to tell this story.
Your rewrite. I'm sorry, your rewrite.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like they would actually. I will go back to the last episode. So the shoe that Tess was wearing, since they put it in the show, I thought it would have been cool if that shirt would have been what Frank gave to her, because they showed him giving her something like in the series, but like what does that mean? It's just show that they have a connection, they're gonna grow together or whatever. If that would have been the thing, she takes it off. She tells like fucking Joel, she like gives this to Bill and Frank, telling them I'm sorry, I'm gone or whatever. So this way, Ellie's like, well, who's Bill and who's Frank? And then she meets Bill and Frank. So the stories that you hear are Bill and Frank telling her about them. And then you see Tess and Joel with them. Like, instead of just the one dinner that they had together, like I would like to have seen that it was actually Joel and fucking Tess who were there when the Raiders came. Like, they helped them like fight all these people off. But that to me, that would be more realistic. But like, it was them who helped them fight them off. It was them that helped like Bill prepare the house when Frank got sick. It was Bill, them who brought it was Joel and Tess who brought the medicine for them, to be like, they've been friends for all this time. And Ellie is learning about fucking Joel and learning about their relationship. Like, I thought that would be, and then we're learning with her. And then that would have been integrated.
I think that it wouldn't have made sense for them to have been there, because in the game or in the original story, these traps are so elaborate, are so deadly. Like, there are people who are just like, there's like tight wire and bombs explode and all types of stuff. They didn't go to any sort of magnitude to show how elaborate all of these traps and booby traps were that he had all around his makeshift compound.
I understand, but
it also showed, and I think another reason too, at least to the point of Bill and Frank, is that I feel like when it comes to the Raiders, it needed to be Bill, because Bill needed to be there to protect Frank, and that would be kind of taken away if all of a sudden he had help. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he has a team. It's not him. It's him featuring Joel and Tess. Like, you know what I mean? And the whole point of them trying to say is with both of them, it's like his purpose was to protect him. You know what I mean? I would argue.
I saw that when he got shot, it was when he turned around.
It was because of Frank. I was about to bring that up. Like, Frank is like his weakness in a way. Frank is like, Without Frank, technically speaking, he would have probably taken them all out when they got shot. But Frank made him vulnerable, and which is what love is. Love makes you vulnerable. You know what I mean?
And Frank gave him a purpose too. Because
he did.
His purpose is to protect Frank.
It doesn't take away from that. I'm saying it.
It does if you add more people in that.
It does not. It justifies that while on the table, fucking Bill is like, call Joel. Joel will take care of you. Since the fuck went, show they were together. If it would, you still could have had the turnaround shot. This is done in other shows. If Bill and Joel are out there fucking holding the fence because they're the fucking fighters, Tess is fucking supposed to be protecting Frank. Frank goes out there to be like, I want to see my man. Bill turns around, he gets shot. Then fucking now Tess and fucking Joel are holding the line while Frank is trying to take care of Bill. You still have the relationship, and you can see them working together.
I don't think it would have hit as hard because Frank needs to be protected by one person alone, and that's Bill. Like, that's Bill's job. I don't think, as far as the emotional component, would have hit as hard if you had other people sharing it. Now, realistically, you're right. Like, that's how it should be done. Like, you call up reinforcements. But as far as us understanding why Bill even decided to even drink like the pills himself as well with the wine, it made perfect sense. It made sense in the sense of like that was his role. It wasn't Tessa's role, it wasn't Bill's role, but it made it his role. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying realistically.
And if Frank is no longer alive, then there's no reason for him to live anymore.
I didn't say anything about Frank being dead. What were we even talking about?
No. I'm saying
I'm just saying.
No.
What I'm saying is that if you're showing that they're having slumber parties and stuff, because that's basically what it would be if they're staying over the night, is taking away from them being in isolation and how far away that they are, and how hard it is for them to sneak out of the QZ to even meet up with them from time to time. It's, we'll sneak up, we'll have, lunch or something, but it's not like I can just be away from the QZ for long periods of time.
It wasn't a long fucking period of time. This whole story is about that despite Bill's obvious hesitation by bringing anyone into their situation, Frank is the one who reached out to Tess. Frank is the one that was like, we need other people in our lives, and they were in their lives. To the point that in the end, Bill was like, only fucking Joel can I give him all this stuff. They spoke about the fact that they were the ones that brought the strawberries. Like, this is not some crazy shit. Like,
right. But you're missing really what the whole point of showing Frank calling Tess wasn't to show that they have backup. That you completely missed it. What it was showing was that Frank put Bill outside of his comfort zone. Bill does not trust other people, right? He trusted this one man because he was like attracted to him or whatnot. The whole idea was, I'm glad everyone is dead and like we have no friends. And then literally he put him in the most uncomfortable situation. That was the only reason why of bringing, like saying, hey, I called Tess. It wasn't just be like, hey, it's so we can have like a big shootout, No, that wasn't the purpose of the same reason why Frank said, hey, I need some paint. I need this. We're going to clean up the boutique, whatnot. And I'm, and it's like, it was outside of what Bill wanted, to the point where at the end of his life, you saw Bill actually watering the flowers. You know what I mean? Something that he would never do.
Saying they had to be there every single time. Joel.
No, I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is the whole point of Frank even calling them was because of that, was to only establish how uncomfortable Bill was and how Bill had to warm up.
But you never saw the fucking evolution of that. Joel says your fence is falling apart. When the Raiders come, you're gonna have a problem. Clearly, at some point,
and they say we're fine.
And he was wrong because the Raiders came and he held the fence. He then after that went 10 years later. Medicine. And at that point, he needed the medicine. You could have showed him doing this shit that, like, and you could say that, I was wrong. Like, Frank showed me that I was wrong. It doesn't have to be just us.
Well, he kind of did say he was wrong when he said, call Joe.
So when Frank was like, we need other people, it can't be just us, right? It was fucking Joel that was like, you're going to need medicine. You're going to need to get your fence fixed.
And Bill said, we're fine.
And he was wrong.
He was stubborn. He was hard-headed.
Not fine. Because how the fuck did he get all that medicine? How did he get all the medicine?
No,
was
he
clear.
he got the medicine from Joel and
No
Yeah,
shit.
so
And that's
in
my
that 10
point. I'm
years,
like, you could
10
have
years later,
showed
yeah.
this stuff. So you can
Oh,
be
you
like,
wanted to see all that? Okay.
Yeah, of course he wanted to see all of that.
I know.
That's
I
what I'm
forgot
saying.
who we were
This
talking
whole-
about. I forgot who we were talking about.
For them not showing their fucking
You're right, Kim.
relationship, this easily could have been them dead as fuck in the room. They read the letter and that's it. Like there was no need. I'm saying, so it did not do anything to forward the story of like Joel and Ellie. Also, Tess is dead. So this would have been an opportunity to further see Tess, like outside of the few times we saw her. Flashbacks are the only way we're gonna get information out of them. It would have been awesome for them to be there when fucking the only people they know on Earth besides Joel knows is getting married. To be like, they don't know that's their last day, but I thought it would have been awesome for them to be like, Joel is here, fucking like at least Joel is here. Like, and Frank would have been like, hey, it's nice to see. They could have had witnesses to their wedding. I mean, that would have been something to bring it together. Fucking Joel and Ellie wake up the next day, fucking they're dead. They already got the letter. Hey, bro, like this is it. Like, you know, we don't want to do this anymore, but here's the stuff. Like Ellie could have met Frank. That could have been an opportunity. One, Ellie could see the fact that Joel actually is okay with, you know, with gay people. So because one, she didn't tell him that. So he could be like, hey, at least she knows, okay, this is something like he could be okay with. Like, who is
you finally bring up something that I agree with. Thank you. It took you 10 minutes, but I completely finally brought something up. I'm messing with you, David. Go ahead. I'm messing with you.
So I'm like, that would have been something. Like with them going through the house, like with every moment could be an opportunity for them to be like, oh, this is what they would test. I'm just saying they could have integrated it better. And then I would have been like, that's why he's like, you're the protector. Also, the letter, it would have been nice if the letter would have mentioned somehow, now that Tess is gone, Sarah is gone, fucking like, you know, you got Ellie. Ellie, you protect Ellie, like this is your future. Like, because it could have been that since Frank said he wanted to die alone, he could have told Bill, after the wedding, after I'm gone, you leave with fucking Ellie and Joel, so you have a life, so you can do that. And then Joel's and Bill's like, no, it's gonna be you and me. And they write the letter together. They write the letter together to fucking Joel, to Ellie, to be like, hey, like we know you. Like that could have been something.
Both hands on the pen, just like.
No, I'm saying, but it's like they both have something to say, because the emotional stuff. I mean, like Frank, if they both decide together, it would have been more like it just. I thought it would have been better.
Hey, Jamani, there's something you said that I had issue with. You said two things actually. You said you did not care for the banter of Ellie talking about the plane. Let me tell you why I thought that was significant. We keep
not the banter about the plane. No, not I didn't say that.
You said something about the plane. What was the whole thing with the plane about? But anyway, I
don't remember.
Okay, well, anyway, all right. Well, you also said, I guess,
I said about the car.
A car.
You didn't. Oh, about it being
her not knowing how to drive a car.
About seatbelt.
Yeah,
but it makes sense.
Not knowing about a car, because in the game, from what I heard on the podcast, that she actually was driving in the game. She was driving, and they were pushing the car or something.
But the game kind of didn't, and that's where the game kind of messed up, right? Because I guess the game was great, but it wasn't without its flaws. That was one of them. They had her sitting in the car, knowing that Ellie has never seen a car before. Like, you know, she's seen a car, but she's never been in one, right? Mm-hmm. And I felt like the show kind of corrected that, you know. So the show kind of corrected that and actually had her not knowing the seatbelt. So I was good with that. And I guess you were talking about the whole thing because it was different from the whole output with the video game was saying it was so much different because of the whole thing with Bill. So the end was different. So in the end, in the sense of Bill being dead, absolutely. But if you remember the end of Joel and Bill, it ended with Bill saying, whatever, take my truck and whatever else you need. In the game, he just gave him the truck. He just said, F it, whatever. If you can start this thing, it has a good truck battery, drive it off. You and Ellie just drive off to see your brother or whatever, good riddance. And then that was how it was. And in this one, what they do, Joe and Ellie drive off with his truck. So I understand what you're saying in the sense of like, especially because like here's it. I'm a Bill fan. I'm a big Bill fan from the game. He was hilarious. Not that Nick was funny too, but I did kind of miss
this is a totally different Bill because he's not talking to himself.
Well, I think the Bill in the beginning, the Bill we saw in the beginning was the Bill in the game the entire time. You know what I mean? However, the Bill in the game was also a complete asshole the whole time. And you know what I mean? But I guess my point is them getting from to A to B, they got to B. It just went to a different direction to get to B. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying like how they trivialized the whole thing about the battery. I just like it just.
Well, that's for real. They kind of did that in the game too. They kind of trivialized the shit out of it. I would say, if anything, the show kind of did a little bit better with the battery thing. I remember doing missions and the thing. I'm like, God damn, they keep. Why? I was like, am I really risking my life off of a fucking battery? And then I'm like, watch, I go to this battery ain't work. Sure enough, I go back. Oh, this battery ain't working. And then literally, they're gonna have me meet Bill and Frank, just to get a goddamn truck battery. You know what I mean? And that was the mission. However, I will say I also missed the fact you're not shooting upside down.
Yes, definitely.
That I wish. I don't know. They need to put. Obviously, they didn't do that with this Bill episode, but they need to put that somewhere in this season. That was epic. He falls in someone's traps. It lifts him up in the air upside down. He sees, and was it the infected coming after Ellie? And he shoots literally upside down angle. That was one of the best parts of the entire game.
And she's trying to cut the counterweight or whatever from the other end of the room.
Yeah. And then you see Bill coming in with his gas mask, and that's his introduction. So, one other thing, there was a symbolism. It was very small, but when Ellie was looking at the Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat 2, right? Mm-hmm. Symbolism, not just because of Riley, but there's something more that's easy to miss. Out of all the characters she talked about in Mortal Kombat 2, she chose a female character who literally, her outside appearance is just this lovely, like gorgeous woman who wears a mask, but she's actually a monster. She is like this terrifying, like she's this horrific monster that a lot of people just don't realize until she takes the mask off. I found that interesting because that's kind of Ellie, you know what I mean? Like not like a monster, like she turns like evil, whatever, but she does that's like a foreshadowing of like she does some crazy shit. We saw that in the case of her going to the basement, like playing with that walker. I was like, oh, that's definitely foreshadowing. Like, you know what I mean? Like she does some, especially if they do like Last of Us 2. Like, yeah, bro. Like, so I thought.
Well, if it's Last of Us 2, I would say that character would more or less be Abby, though.
Well, both Abby and Ellie. I can't, man. I'm wondering if they're going to introduce Abby in this season. She would have to be a little girl too. But if they introduce Abby in this, I don't know if my heart can take it, because I'm like, yo, this is about to blow the fuck off. You know what I mean? But I thought it was interesting in Mortal Kombat, she chose Melinda. Like, out of all the characters to choose from, is the one whose outward appearance is just one way, but inside, like, she's sadistic. You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of somewhat of a symbolism moment right there. You know,
I thought the best change in this episode was in the game. You see, after Tess dies, she tries to give this speech that you see after she reads the letter, and Joel says, "Don't ever mention Tess," or whatever, right? But and that's the conversation. But in this, what happens when they wake up? She's like, "Well, it ain't my fault. I ain't asking any of y'all to do this." I thought that like, as an initial response, I thought that was a nice change. And then you see what happens on.
That was a nice change. And you saw that Joe, like, yo, Pedro has a gift where he doesn't have to say anything. He just gives a look, and you already know what he's saying without him even verbalizing it. And he gave Ellie that look, like, yeah, you're right. He says, so don't blame me for something that's not my fault. And I was like, yeah, bars. And Joel was like, okay, you got it. You got it. Like, I was like,
I mean, she was right.
No, she absolutely was. I did like that he was memorializing her with the stones. That was a nice.
Oh yeah, that wasn't that beautiful. That was so sweet.
That was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
At first, I didn't know what he was doing, but then I thought about it. I was like, that's what people do to mourn people, is they crack the stones, and then
that's something.
But he was careful not to, because his heart's so hardened. You saw that he made sure, like, he was just like, he quickly did it and he got out of it, like, okay, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's that's 20 years of trauma, and he's like, he just, after the death of Sarah, it transformed him like completely. He didn't even, I know Tess was kind of turning and whatnot. He didn't even hug her, because that's how much like he has greatly like changed with people around him dying left and right. Where he was just like he was like probably like, damn, like I might like that person, but I will never say I love that person, because if I love them, that's when they'll be taken away from me, So I thought that was very dope. I thought that was dope. So, what do you think, David? As someone who's never played the game, what do you think?
That could have happened with Frank, and it should have happened with Frank and Bill at the fucking thing. Like him taking the time to like remember her. Like, how about you do it with the people who also knew her, right? Like, so that
could be the next episode too. Remember, Tess died in episode 2, in the beginning of episode 3.
But Bill and Frank are already dead, so that's not gonna happen. Like he said,
how not?
No, Tess already died. You can have flashback.
They're already, that doesn't even make sense. Like they're already dead.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So like,
I'm talking about the stone, the memorializing with the stones.
I'm saying that should have happened like in where they all met. And like they were alive, you know what I'm saying? And like he did it with
How do you memorize someone with stones that they're already alive?
No. He's saying before Bill and Frank died, that Joel and Ellie they met up all together, and then they
that's right. I forgot. He still wants them to move. Oh, okay, okay.
Yes.
I guess. I mean,
he wants to put them all together so that it connects.
I'll put it to you like this. I'm like watching this episode, I realized you can't really please everyone. And I felt like even if they did it just like the video game, that they would probably lacked a whole lot just doing it the way with the video game. Like I don't know. I felt like for what they had, it was good. I actually argued that it was even better than the game. Obviously, I missed some elements with Ellie and Bill. That being said, this kind of worked out better in a way. You know what I mean? Like it kind of put me in the whole like put me in the series in the sense of like being in that environment, like, in the sense of like you like really truly understanding in every walks of life of Joel, why Joel really truly is the way he is, you know what I mean? And the evolution of someone like his relationship with Ellie and him trying to resist from liking this little girl. Like, I need to resist because I can't. There's no way I can like her. Like, that's the thing too. Even in the game, he did not want to admit that he really liked Tess. To the point where you playing the game, you're like, did they even have a relationship? Because Joe was kind of like, oh yeah, maybe it's like a fling or whatever. But he resisted like loving Tess.
But you know what? What made me realize that he did love Tess before that? Remember when we'll go way back to like the first episode when she came in, she had gotten beat up or whatever about the battery, right? And then he was in the bed and she got in the bed and she cuddled with him. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, but you notice Tess cuddled with him.
Right. True. But people, I feel like if there was not something between them, he probably would have been like, like.
Oh, absolutely. I can almost guarantee you we're going to get I can almost guarantee you that this ain't the last time we see a Tess. We're going to see. I can almost guarantee you we're going to get another flashback with them. And just like, was it one of Tess's last lines to Joel was, "I never asked you for anything.
Yeah.
I never wanted you to feel the same way that I felt about you."
Right.
I thought that was very important. I was like, oh, that's like the game, like where she liked him a whole lot more than he liked her, in the sense of he was trying to avoid that. But I can almost guarantee you we're going to get that scene. I can't
and
wait.
That would have again.
So we're going to get the flashback.
That would have been a time.
We're going to get a flashback of that. Just calm down.
That's what.
He wanted this
is about. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the purpose. Like this woman loves a man that will never love her. And I'm like, that was their.
Well, no. I wouldn't say that he doesn't love her. I would say that he's not going to show her.
He tries to resist.
Because he does love. He did love her, and he still loves her.
It still represents the song. I'm like, it would have been awesome to be like that. They could have played the song and Tess would have been like, and Frank could have been like, hey, I kind of think like this kind of looks similar. If they would have like showed again them like together, and I was saying like not all the time, but it would have been something. Ellie's wonderment at the idea of flying really brought home how far society has pushed her, and her not having been in a car also furthered that.
Agree. we take things for granted. And the fact, I like how he tries to downplay it. It was like, yeah, you stuck in the middle too, like paying $12 for a sandwich or whatever. Like, and then she just says, like, dude, you were up in the sky. And I was like, true. I was like, all right, I like this girl. That was the moment for me where I was like, all right, I really like Gilly. Like, because like she's like this young kid of wonder. She's like, wow. She's like looking at everything like, I'm outside. In the first episode, like, I'm really outside.
Because
like she's
things that we take for granted,
yeah,
that we experience every day, she is like, what?
Who gets excited about a seatbelt? Who gets excited about putting on a seatbelt? She's like, he putting the seatbelt on, and she's like, yeah, like she was all. I was like, yo, you could tell she was born in the apocalypse because she's getting excited about the seatbelt.
Exactly.
People just want to try. A lot of times, people are like, yeah, I'm gonna take the seatbelt off, and she's like excited, like, yeah. I love
like,
that.
Put it on. Let's
yeah, it's just like I'm on a spaceship, you know. So
that's why I like the character. I love that they're showing.
And I think that's how Joel. I think that's going to be the avenue of how Joel starts to fall in love with her and kind of be like, "Yo, you're just like my daughter." You know what I mean? Like,
just a world of wonderment. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, and I like what Armando said. He said, "I'm impressed in a world that people have a hard time paying attention. This episode drew me in." And that is true, because there's a lot of shows that I watch. I have to watch them twice. I always tell you guys I watch it twice, because sometimes there's shows that I'm on my phone, right? I mean, part of the time, right? Because it hasn't drawn me in, right? I'm watching Mayor of Kingstown, no phone, no laptop, no nothing, you know. I'm watching it because it's a good show, and and I'm enjoying it. But there's a lot of shows that don't do that. This show, absolutely. Like, don't drop your eyes, because there may have been something in the background, on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Something that you needed to see, to help you piece the story together. You need to be watching it, and it draws you in so that you are totally focused. So that's a good show to me. I think that's a good show, and it has great character development, because I think as we go in flashbacks and stuff, we'll see more of Joel and Tessa's relationship. I'm hoping that we're going to get more of that, because the actress who played Tess, she kind of, in her interviews, she's not letting on that she's alive, but I think that just the way she talks around it, that you're going to see more of her. Like when people are like, "Oh, we're so sad that you died," and she's like, you never know, that kind of thing. So it's like, I'm hoping they do more flashbacks, so we get to know more about her and Joel's relationship, and that kind of thing, and how it started, and I
mean, technically speaking, Bill could still be alive. He said he put in a drink, but maybe he just laid him down. I was like, yeah,
I think Frank, Bill was dead.
I love you, Frank, but I lied. I'm gonna write this little letter, because I'm thinking I didn't see him write the note, so I'm thinking maybe he wrote the note after he set Frank to bed, and he just out there. Part of me was hoping that was the case. Like, damn. Hopefully, just like maybe Frank really is the one that's just dead, and Bill's just out there scouring the earth, doing him. You know what I mean? Part of me is thinking that, but I was thinking like, nah, but it won't be fucking romantic.
And I don't think that he would come out of isolation. I think that if he did survive, he would go and stay in isolation, because the only reason he came out of isolation was for Frank. So Frank is dead. His purpose is gone. So I think.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm just saying. You know how you were just saying how Tess was like, well, you might still see her. I'm thinking like, we could do the technically with Bill too. We ain't really see him die.
Yeah, I mean, they could do flashbacks.
He just claims it was in a bottle. I'm like, you sure? I ain't say you was squirreled up in the bottle, but okay. I don't know. I'm kind of trolling, halfway being honest too. So.
The producer who does the podcast, he said that he purposely put out a casting request for gay middle-aged men. And so remember, we were like the guy from Welcome to Chippendales. Yeah, so he put that out, and then the reason there was supposed to be a different actor to play Bill, but they chose this actor because they said they were blown away by his audition, because he is a comedian. And when comedians do drama, they tend to do it better than a lot of people, because you're not expecting them to be able to do drama, right? But then they also, at the same time they're doing drama, they always have a little funny that comes out with the drama, right? They say something that you weren't expecting them to say, but they're in a dramatic moment, that kind of thing. And that's what he felt Bill was. Like, he's going to say something snarky, right? But it's a serious moment, And so I thought that actor did really,
he
really
did good, and they got a
yeah.
I mean, I know because the actor they were trying to get was a dude from Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah, and he wasn't available.
And he was available because he was doing the new season, whatever, because he's gay. So they went for the straight, like, because they had, for this episode, they had a gay director, it was a gay producer, gay writer, whatnot.
Gay
and they got
director, producer.
They got this heterosexual male named Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec. And I don't know if you saw a thing with him, but he read the role and he was like, and he told his wife, Megan Mullally from Will and Grace, which is his wife in real life. He's like, yeah, I got the script or whatever. I don't think I have time to do this, whatever. And then apparently his wife grabbed the script and she read it, and she read the whole thing, and she was like, "You're doing this role. You're gonna find time. You're doing this role." And he's like, "All right, I'm buying you a ticket so you can go to Canada and film this." So it was his wife that pushed him to do this role. She's apparently his wife was like, "Oh my God, this thing is so like romantic, and it's something that you should do." And like, so his wife is the reason why, like, he was like, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Because it shows that he has range. And when you show that you have range as a comedian and then go into dramatic, that's a good thing. Like, he may win awards for his performance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because his wife
did that well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his wife was like, I see awards in this. I see
that.
Yeah.
And that first line that he said, like when he was in the bunker, when he said, like, "Not today, you new world ordered fucks," or whatever. Apparently, like, you saw the podcast, that was not his line. He wasn't supposed to say anything. He was supposed to just stay in there, silence. But the director or the writer, he writes like how the actor is supposed to be feeling in that moment. So he wrote the words like the actor should be feeling like, "Not today, you always." So then Nick came and was like, "Yeah, so I'm reading this, right? Like, this is, I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to say this." He's like, "I don't know how well it's going to be done." And then they filmed it and they're like, "Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess we're going to keep you in silence as you're just clocking your gun in darkness, waiting for Fedra to leave your house, putting an X on your house." But then they're like, "Nah, we love that line. And it's kind of funny and also badass. We're keeping it." So.
And that's another thing too. Comedians have that improv thing too. So they just have stuff come off the top of their brain.
Yeah, Murray. So I didn't see what Chippendales or whatnot, but watching Murray in White Lotus, I don't know if you ever watched White Lotus.
Oh my God, he was so good.
He's hilarious.
He's so good in that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so good in it. So when I saw he was playing Frank, I was like, okay. I was like, all right. Yeah. I was like, so.
Yeah, White Lotus, y'all should watch White Lotus. Not for us to review it. That's a really well-made series. Yeah. It's a really well-made series. Like, watch what I would say season 2 is better than 1. I would say that, but 1 is pretty damn good. And it's really written really well. They have character development from the beginning to the end, like everything wraps up. It's really good. Like, really good. So
David.
Check it out.
Oh yeah, David, before we were filmed, or after it happened, after we were filming last week, but I guess everyone probably knows by now, but Annie Wershing, who voiced the real life Tess, Tess in the video game, she passed away last Sunday night, off of from cancer. So she did a lot of she was in 24. She was widely known as Tess in The Last of Us. So rest in peace.
Okay. So before we wrapped up, Armando said, "I only knew him as the captain of the bike unit in 21 Jump Street."
Is that the one with Tatum Channing and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch. I didn't watch Parks and Rec either. So I don't know.
I didn't watch Parks and Rec, but I've seen scenes of him in.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've seen memes with him. He's everywhere.
Yeah,
that face, he's everywhere.
All right, Jamani, you have the last word. What would you like to say before we go?
I like that we got to learn a lot more about the cordyceps infection, like as they were walking at the beginning of the episode, like how it's spread.
Yeah.
Yeah. we didn't get the bloaters that we should have gotten with Bill. I want to know.
We can't because those are spores.
What?
Bloaters deal with spores. You see, remember, I don't think we can do spores in this because spores means it's airborne.
No, but I'm saying you still could have like a bloated
infected person.
Yeah.
True. Okay. Maybe they could do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to walk on anything, but I just had to bring that up about bloaters.
And the next episode, as far as like predictions go, I'm like, I know we're dealing with the hunters in the next episode, but there's like this character that's not in the games, Kathleen or something like that. Does any of you guys have like any speculation as far as what that character might be introduced to do, or trying to figure out more or less how the story is going to progress from a dramatic standpoint as opposed to action and just, killing everybody and moving to another place? Like, how does we get an actual story out of this next episode, so to say? I can't necessarily figure out how that will go from hunters to, where we get with like Sam and Henry, so to say. Like a whole hour-long episode, so to say. If you guys have any thoughts on that. And I don't know, I think there should be a meme for Ellie's got a gun, like, with the Sopranos song.
I like that.
So in the game though, the hunters led into Sam and Henry. Remember, they were stashed up in that house, and then that's when Joel almost killed. Like Joel and Henry almost kill each other until Henry sees the kid. He sees Ellie. He's like, "How do you know we're not the bad guys?" It's like, because those guys don't keep kids around here. Survival of the fittest. And you have a kid, and I have a kid. So I feel like this will be. I feel like if they're not Sam and Henry's not on tonight's episode, they're going to definitely be in next episode. My opinion, going by how it was in the game, because I recently just replayed it again. So I feel like that's how they're going to do it. Episode 5, I would be my prediction. So.
If you're saying that there's going to be episode 8 is going to be the episode with like the Left Behind, they do that like it's basically like a flashback to, like, when they're in the winter, like when she's trying to find the medicine and stuff in the actual DLC. So I'm like, how can they fit everything else after that into one episode? I'm like, that would have to be like a 3-hour episode.
But I'm thinking that okay, so let me ask you guys this: is the last of the Left Behind, that what you have behind you, is that the Last of Us 2? Is that
no.
what? No,
okay. It's in
so
between.
Okay,
There's an event. There's a DLC that came out after at the end of the first Last of Us,
mm-hmm.
that took place in between. Well, storyline, it takes place before the events of Last of Us,
mm-hmm.
but it was like a DLC, something different from the actual show Last of Us and Last of Us 2. But Last of Us Left Behind gives you the backstory of Ellie and Riley and the whole Fireflies thing with Marlene and everything.
Oh, that's
else
coming.
Like that.
Let me like it's basically they go back to, I'd say like towards the end, or a middle point of the first game, right? And they go to a point where we didn't see in the actual game, where Ellie's doing something alone, right? And it's moving backwards and forwards between what she's doing then and her flashbacks before she ever met Joel with Riley. So it's still chronologically within the first game. So I'm like, if they're sandwiching it in the season, you would think that it's going to be chronologically where it actually took place in the game.
I don't know. I know we're going to see it because that young lady has already done interviews. Riley, the young lady's going to play Riley. She's already done her interviews and stuff. So and we see the flashes. I mean, the trailer where she's
the trailer's already showed.
Yeah, so we know that that's going to happen. What episode is going to be? I don't know.
Yeah, they said. I think one of them actually. I don't know if they said it by mistake, but that's how I know it's 8. Is that one of them said Riley's episode was 8? Apparently. So that's.
Yeah, I think the young lady who's playing her actually said that her episode is 8 in an interview. I think because she's had a lot of interviews.
All right.
All right, so we will see what
Yeah.
happens in episode 8, and actually, was gonna have episode tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you, Armando. Thanks for joining us in the chats. Thank everybody for just watching.
Thanks, Armando.
And we appreciate you,
Thank
and hope you guys appreciate the game. As we appreciate the show. And people who shows based on any kind of source material always goes through this is not like. And it always happens between books and movies, or books and TV shows, but games are no different. Like, they have to change the story. So sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. You just gotta, this is up to the viewer, but still be open to the material, because ultimately hopefully they still get the same destination in the end. But anyway, guys, thank you guys very much for watching. Next week we are picking up Mayor of Kingstown, and Ruthless is off. But schedules will change. February has a lot of new content, new shows coming out, so we'll have the rotation will shift around a little bit, but we will cover the stuff the best we can. Thank you, everyone. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you.
Have a great week, everybody.
I will see you around.
Anybody watching the Grammys?
No.
No.
No,
Isn't the Oscars coming on too, or something?
Damn, it's wow. With that long, I mean,
I think the Oscars are coming on
Will
tonight.
won't be there.
Oh, the Grammys is tonight. The Grammys.
Oh, the Grammys is tonight. Okay.
But
I know the
Oscars usually around February too, isn't it? Oscars usually.
No, that's
I
like
think
the
Oscars
end
are
of
coming, or
February.
they already came out. I don't know, but I know I want to.
I don't know. I stopped watching them years ago.
Yeah, me too.